Hi Ravens, it's Miss Rogers, and here's a quick study guide for your quiz tomorrow. Don't forget that when you're talking about plot, the basics of plot include exposition, rising action, climax, falling action, and resolution. Conflict lies within rising action, and it is the problem. As well, don't forget that the climax, or the highest point of action in a story, is also referred to the turning point. Now, if we were evaluating a piece of text, like When Gertrude Grew Great, we would look at things such as the author's purpose, the genre, the narrator's point of view, and then we would work to summarize the text and break it down into the pieces of plot. All of this we would do only after completing a close read. That includes marking our text. So if I was to look at a text like When Gertrude Grew Great, I might say that the author's purpose was to entertain, because no matter if I learned a moral or a lesson, I'm still being entertained by the story. I'm not gathering facts and data like if it was to inform, and I'm not being persuaded to buy something or to participate in an activity of any kind like I would be with a persuasive or argumentative piece. If it is fake, if it is not real, if it is not an informational piece, if it is not based on data and facts, it is fiction. If it's a story, if it's a narrative, it is fiction. If it seems like the characters could be real, but they are not, then it might be realistic fiction. Like in a story such as When Gertrude Grew Great. Don't forget our 2-second lesson on narrator's point of view. Remember, first, we say is number one usually. I. So in first person, use words like I or me. So who's number one? I am. Who's number two? When we look at our friends, we usually say I'm number one, so you can be number two. So second person is you. You use the term you. Third person is when we say all those other people behind ourselves and our close friends. So third person uses terms like he, she, it, and it uses other people's names. So Scout, Maggie, Bob, Sally. Third person would see everything or most things. It may even see inside people's thoughts. It would know all people or all the characters' actions and so forth. In the story that I was talking about, this narrative called When Gertrude Grew Great, the narrator's point of view would be third person, because the narrator seems to know what's going on. If I was to summarize the text or be asked to summarize the text, I would follow what we've been doing in class and break it down into the 5 points of plot. So exposition, rising action, climax, falling action, and resolution. So I would say Gertrude doesn't put forth a lot of effort in school. Her teacher tries to inspire her or motivate her. Probably doesn't do that great of a job because Gertrude still doesn't feel very motivated. Then all of a sudden, Gertrude is shocked by this dream. That would probably be the climax. Gertrude all of a sudden begins working hard in school. Well, remember how we talked about the climax goes with the falling action. So we can say because of the climax, therefore the falling action happened. So because Gertrude had a shocking dream, therefore she began working hard in school. So yes, my climax and my falling action are correct. I checked it. Resolution, 10 years later, she lives a happy life. All is resolved. My exposition, I would say my setting is, basic house and school in a basic town or average town. And I don't know specific facts, so I would just say in a general time period. It might be present or it might be, like in the relative past, but I don't know the exact dates. So I'm going to try to be as specific as I can without giving too much information to show that I'm just making it up. The conflict is that Gertrude is just not giving forth her best effort in school. Now, just like we broke down in class, digging deeper, if you want to break that down and say, is she having an internal conflict? Is she, struggling with that for a reason? You're welcome to, but don't forget to say the main conflict first. Gertrude is not putting forth her best effort in school. The rising action, you would say that Gertrude is just slipping by. She's just doing enough to get by. And, even though her teacher tries to change her teacher attempts to change her, and, she still ignores the advice. Gertrude just doesn't listen to her mentor, the adult in her life who's trying to change her. And the climax, as we already said, that turning point, the event that turns the story. Remember how we talked about the two roads? And once you take the other road, the story changes. And you see how the story just changes on the path. Gertrude has a shocking dream. In Gertrude the Great, the following action is that Gertrude begins to try hard in school, and she really kind of turns her act around. The resolution is that she has a happy life, not just right afterwards, but 10 years later. And so we see in her future how her actions affect her life in the long term. Don't forget to not only study plot tonight and study all of your notes and review the videos on our classroom website, but please don't forget to study parts of speech. To study parts of speech, I highly recommend viewing the video on our classroom website that I previously posted and all the other videos that are up there along with your notes. Good luck, and I'll see you tomorrow in class.